morning, friends. Welcome again. We are back with another Usanas Dialogues, and today we are joined by a distinguished expert, Dr. John M. Nomikos. First, I'll introduce Dr. John Nomikos, and then we'll discuss briefly about the topic and his expert views on something very, very interesting and exciting that he's going to discuss today. Dr. John Nomikos is the director at the Research Institute for European and American Studies. He is chairman, European Intelligence Academy, and founding editor, Journal of European and American Intelligence Studies, former Mediterranean and Balkan Intelligence. He is the head of the History, Politics, and International Relations Department at the Athens campus of Webster University and associate professor. He joined the Intelligence and Security Studies program as an affiliate faculty member at the Coastal Carolina University. So, welcome, Dr. John Nomikos.
Good morning, sir. It was really a pleasure for me to be with you from Athens, Greece, and I'm very happy to share, my opinions for 15 minutes, as you point out, and then we can take some questions from your audience.
Sure.
Allow me to make a few statements about what is the role of Hamas as a proxy Pakistani terrorist. Yes, sorry.
I'll just briefly set the background for our audience, and then I'll invite you for your opening remarks.
Yes, thank you.
I would like to tell you, friends, that we wanted to invite Dr. Nomikos for a very, very long time. So, in fact, we organize every year our flagship annual Geopolitics Dialogue, Maharana Pratap Annual Geopolitics Dialogue, and we have invited speakers and experts from Greece regularly for like the last 2 to 3 years. In fact, after the visit of the Greek ambassador to our Maharana Pratap Dialogue in 2023, India's engagement with Greece started. And the report which Usanas Foundation sent to the Prime Minister's office and also the ministry reportedly played a crucial role in at least creating the right discourse on the need for strengthening India-Greece ties. So today, Dr. Nomikos is with us here, and the topic that he's going to address is very interesting, something which most of the strategic experts in South Asia find it difficult to imagine. The role of Hamas as a proxy terrorist network in the recent attack in Kashmir. Now, a while back, I came across a report by Dr. Sarah Adams in which she mentioned that before the attack in Israel, or the 7th October 2023 attack, most of the attackers, Hamas attackers, were trained in Afghanistan. And the Haqqani network, Afghan Taliban, Pak Taliban played a crucial role in that. And interestingly, the fatwa which sanctioned the attack was signed by Maulana Masood Azhar, who is the commander of Jaish-e-Mohammed, a Pakistan-sponsored terrorist group which has always been a big headache for India, having brought India and Pakistan twice on the verge of a full-fledged war. So there only we could see some sort of a commingling of the South Asian and West Asian groups. Later on, we came to know about the arrival of Hamas terrorists in Kashmir, and they shared the dais with Kashmiri terrorist groups and separatist groups. So this is something which is not only very interesting for the counterterrorism community, but also very alarming for India's internal security and external security challenges. So now, without wasting much time, I'll invite Dr. Nomikos to share his thoughts and his research on this new development. Dr. Nomikos, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, to ladies and gentlemen in India. I'm very happy to be here with you because I admire India as a regional, security player in Southeast Asia, but in Europe too. So I'm so happy to be here with you again. Well, I chose, this topic because I wanted to share some of my views with you. First of all, as you realize, Hamas attacked, Israel on October 7. But as you realize, Hamas is not just a problem only between Israel and the Saudi state. I do believe that Hamas, as an international, terrorist network, which right now has a strong hold in the Republic of Turkey, and Mr. Erdogan is hosting them. And of course, Turkey is providing, logistic support, political support also, and to some extent financial support in Turkey. So we have to realize one thing. We know that, India is a member of the BRICS, right? and China is a member of the BRICS. But lately, we are facing a global economic and trade aggressiveness among our planet. We see, the United States, we see, European Union, we see China. China is one of the biggest rivalry, one of the biggest problem we face. Now, before I talk about Hamas in 15 minutes, we have to realize this is affiliated with the ongoing economic, trade war. Why? Because China, all right, is using Pakistan port, and China has invested hugely on Pakistan, number one. And China does not want to see, India promoting, the IMEC, the IMEC, was the so-called India Middle East economic corridor, all the way from, from India through, the Gulf region, as you realize, the United Arab Emirates, and then goes to Saudi Arabia, to Jordan, to Israel, Cyprus, and finally Greece. In other words, uh, India is becoming a regional, oil power, believe it or not, that goes all the way from Southeast Asia through Eastern Mediterranean to Europe. So this is an alternative, route to oil dependency from Russia. Also, Russia is a member of Greeks, or a member of BRICS, right? So India, China, and Russia, they are member of BRICS. This is economic bloc so far. But why I say that? Even though three of the states, India, China, and Russia, are collaborating through BRICS, we see that the economics antagonism or competition is almost, very strong, right? Let's go on. So China has no way, does not want to see, the promotion India as an oil, player to Europe. Number two, India is not only a regional power, emerging economy, and very strong, in the military issues, in Southeast Asia. India has already, moved, forward to, Eastern Mediterranean, because India has, has participated in the military joint forces with, Greece a week ago. India is here with the navy visiting Egypt or the Greek island Crete when we have, the NATO base there. India is already, collaborating with Israel, and India is moving forward to collaborate with Cyprus. And of course, India is here in the European Union. So this is something that China, primarily China, does not want to see. So what is the next country that would like, to use it, as a threat, which already a threat, but to create some kind of a, destabilization in the India Kashmir. So Pakistan, economically, I do believe Pakistan is dependent on China, right? All right, and they, like I said, they control the two major Pakistani. Pakistan is not a democratic country. Pakistan is an authoritarian state. All right, they have a military power. We know, maybe you know better than me, but I do know too that the Pakistani intelligence network is having a strong power, in Pakistan. Also, the military government. So the Chinese could easily, collaborate with Pakistan. Pakistan has an excellent collaboration with Turkey, and now they have it, some defense agreement, how to produce, Turkish military technology in Pakistan. But Turkey can use Hamas because, like I said, they prefer it. They offer water, everything to them, money, logistic, and they offer, a place to stay. And of course, as you realize, Hamas right now had a very um, financial problem. I mean, they were going out, a financial support. And why I say that is not my opinion, is what Wall Street Journal said, that Hamas is short of a fund. So as a network, in order to increase, his his popularity in the Muslim community, of course, also to regain a financial capacity, from Turkey or from Pakistan. It could offer its services, to anywhere they ask. Few days ago, I had another online conference with India, and when I say that, one of the gentlemen there, he said to me, "Well, Hamas is only, facing Israel." I do believe this is not the case. Hamas is not only between Israel and and the surrounding state. Hamas is a network that is spreading, it's a spider network all over the world. Hamas is in North Africa, is of course in Israel because they're fighting, it's in Syria. So Turkey is using Hamas wherever they want it. So Turkish authorities, could easily offer the services, of Hamas to Pakistan. You have to realize that before the Kashmir accident, right? Few members of Hamas, a Hamas delegation, were sitting in Pakistan. They visited Pakistan, all right? They were in Islamabad. They were taking Hamas network fighters to Pakistani authority. Why were there? Why were there a few days before Kashmir? All right. And then the Israeli, social media from open sources and intelligence, they have made some statement that, Hamas was not just in Pakistan to discuss different issues. I guess we could think very, productively and strategically that the Hamas was invited Pakistan after, Turkish authorities, offer a place for them to go there. So the Pakistani and the Turkish intelligence authorities might collaborate. And of course, they don't want to send, their Turkish officer. So Hamas was going there, and after, Turkish and Pakistan decided a few days before the Kashmir. And of course, instead of having only Pakistani citizen or any other countries there, I think that the Hamas, could have a play, in Kashmir there. They can be activated, by collaborating with people, in Kashmir. But I do believe, certainly, this is my humble opinion, played a role on the Kashmir attack. Now, why, this group decided to do that? As I said, in order to increase funding, in order to have, an international network, you have to realize that the Hamas so far, infrastructure has been destroyed in Israel. In other words, the Israeli Defense Forces has made it a big blow to Hamas, presence in Gaza, all right? And so they move all the way, to Turkey. Of course, they get some support, from Qatar, but Qatar, for some reason, they asked to leave it, even though they are participating in negotiations between Israeli Hamas in Doha. But I think Turkey and Pakistan, of course, on behalf, now this is a very interesting point, on behalf of China, decided, to take action, a terrorist action against Kashmir, because they see India is an emerging power. India is coming up, and there is no way that Turkey wants to see, India, based in the Mediterranean. Can you imagine to have India, Navy, India Armed Forces in the Eastern Mediterranean, and collaborating with Greece, Egypt, Cyprus, and Israel? This is something that the Turks don't want to see it. They don't feel very comfortable to see Indian armed forces there, even though you have to realize that many, Turkish air fighters, airplane are using Pakistani pilot, and they sometimes they invite, the Turks invited, Pakistani Navy to, to sit, or to be closer to the Turkish port. So in a few minutes, I have to summarize what I said. I do believe that is a part of economic trade war between, China against, Eastern Mediterranean, using Pakistan as a place that they know. They already know that Pakistan has a big problem, with India, and India has a big problem with China for many reasons. So this kind of a Kashmir terrorist network was orchestrated, by Pakistani and Turkish, that I do believe, using the Hamas not as a local Middle East network, but as an international network, which could be, active in Southeast Asia, it could be active in North Africa, it could be active in Syria, and, Hamas right now could have an international role to play. I'm not saying that, they will go all over the world like Latin America, but pay attention to that. Hezbollah used to be an international network covering many places of the world. We could see Hezbollah in Argentina, in Venezuela, we see in North Africa, in many places. Now Hezbollah has received a big blow from Israel. And now Hezbollah is not sitting in Iran. Iran has a big problem now with Hezbollah because it doesn't have its power, and Hezbollah does not play a role in Turkey, is some other Gulf state. But Hamas is in Turkey right now. Hamas is trying to some extent not to replace Hezbollah, okay, but to have an international role in order to regain its financial capacity and in order to regain its logistical support. They have fighters. They have fighters. As you see right now, it's Turkey is offering everything to them to stay there. So Pakistan and Turkey are very strongly collaborating. So they find it a way to give like a signal, to India through this destabilization terrorist attack against the India Kashmir, to tell them, listen, we are here and we will continue to create problem and to attack you. We don't want to attack you in India. We attack you in India, Kashmir, but we realize that you are a very strong power in Southeast Asia. You are coming up. You are a democratic country. We have to realize that India is a large democratic country with a lot of respect and the human right. And India right now is welcome not only in the United States, but India is welcome in Europe. India is welcome in the Eastern Mediterranean. And the Turks have a big problem, huge problem, to see India in the Eastern Mediterranean and to see India-European Union relation progressively heavily. Greece is supporting India and Cyprus and Israel as much as we can. But the biggest problem they face is IMEC. They don't want to see IMEC from China and from wherever, Turkey and from Pakistan, IMEC to have a role to play because they overcome. They put China and they put Turkey and they put, of course, to some extent, Pakistan away. So IMEC is coming from India and ending up in the Eastern Mediterranean, supporting the European Union, with oil, so decrease the dependency, of Russia. And you realize, as I said in the beginning, even though India, China, and Russia are member of BRICS, terrorism is not a member of BRICS, right? Terrorist network is not a member of BRICS. Economic aggressiveness is not a member of BRICS. And even though three major countries, collaborate economically, in underground, behind the scene, we see, Turkey and Pakistan, create, a civil, terrorist network against the peaceful people in Kashmir. And Kashmir is a part of India. But this is, like the issues that they say to the, to the Prime Minister Modi, we'll try to create as many problems as we can to you because we don't want you to see you actively engaged in the Eastern Mediterranean with the European Union member state, with Greece. So that's I wanted to say in 15 minutes. I covered 15 minutes. And share I analyze as much as I can with a very particular topic, and just to help the audience understand, this is like an economic war using terrorist network, Hamas as a network through Pakistan, Islamabad, to attack, the India Kashmir. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I help the audience understand my views about this problem from Eastern Mediterranean. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nomikos. Definitely, I mean, your lecture was very insightful. You have opened an entirely new domain, for Indian intelligence and security agencies, especially the experts who are working in strategic studies. In your lecture, you highlighted that the Hamas terrorists were present in Kashmir before the recent attack, and even we also read about it. But I would like to know a little bit more about whether the presence of Hamas terrorists in Kashmir was just perfunctory or it was more than that. I mean, how did they actually contribute to this recent terror attack in Kashmir? I mean, if you can elaborate a bit more on that.
Yes. Okay, you have to realize, sir, this is a very good question, by the way. Well, you have to realize that Kashmir has a lot of experiences in terrorist tactics and strategy. You have to realize also that they created, so many tunnel under the ground, and they could connect, with from Gaza all the way through tunnel with with Egypt and so on. They have been training in the in the guerrilla war, all right, in the insurgency war for years, all right, and they have received training, from various countries. Most of the fighters, they might go to some other places, another country, and they have they have already received a lot of knowledge on the urban warfare. And Hamas is very well, training before the attack from the Israeli Defense Forces, and the city war, and of course they realize through all the training that they have in Gaza against the Israeli forces, how to penetrate in the institution. So maybe Hamas was not actively involved in Kashmir, and you cannot fight the Hamas fighters arrested by the Indian counterterrorism, authorities, but at least their network in Islamabad, few days in Pakistan, few days before attack Kashmir, they offer some tactics to the people that went over there. They could be citizens not only from Pakistan, from everywhere. And you should realize that some of these people, from different terrorist networks, they could use fake names, because you realize that if someone from the Middle East, all right, from a Middle East comes to Kashmir, physically, it could be like a citizen from Southeast Asia. In other words, if I see you, sir, in Greece, and I don't know that you are from India, I might speak Greek to you, right? So most of these people, they look physically with people from Southeast Asia. And if you change the passport and the name, you never found out the real identity. That's something, they could use a fake passport. Number two, they could collaborate with fighters, Pakistani or non-Pakistani in India. Number three, I do believe that this kind of attack against Kashmir was not prepared in 2 days. It was not prepared in 2 days. It was prepared a long time ago. And I do believe the intelligence services were involved, especially the IC from Pakistan. So Hamas brought, knowledge through their own tactics and their own strategy and the tunnel work, penetration urban societies, penetrate, institution. It could use, they use, to summarize fake passports, but physically it's almost impossible to realize if they are coming from Middle East or from the Gulf or from wherever. So you realize that these people with the Pakistan collaboration, with a physical appearance similar to the India Kashmir, easily could attack the Kashmir on behalf of any country, which is really this terrorist network against India Kashmir assisted, hypothetically speaking, but pragmatically, also the Chinese authorities because of the IMEC, the Eastern Mediterranean Corridor. So Hamas has a long time experiences fighting against Israel, and they pass this knowledge through the way that they explain it and through Pakistan to India, Kashmir. I don't know if I answered the question, but I did my best.
Yes, it was absolutely great. Thank you very much. I was taking notes from your from your lecture. Yeah, yeah. So, by what you said, it seems that Hamas is likely to stay in the Indian subcontinent, that is South Asia, as a more permanent future. Okay? And in that regard, I mean, I would also like to highlight the point that over the last 12 years, Indian Muslims have undergone extreme radicalization on religious grounds, and today Indian Muslims are much more polarized, and they sort of identify themselves with the global Islamist issues. So, seen against this background, do you think Hamas will try to spread its network in the Indian hinterland that is beyond Jammu and Kashmir?
Yes, sir. Before I ask this very interesting question, I have to make a comment, from East Mediterranean. I'm very happy that the Pakistani or the Hamas or any other terrorist network did not, activate or did not attack the Islamic community in India. But they chose to attack the India Kashmir, which has a conflict with Pakistan. This is not by accident. All right, they chose the Kashmir instead of going to the Islam community that they are living in India, and of course that would be the biggest blow. They chose Kashmir because of the Pakistani, aggressiveness there. So I do believe that Hamas could not play a global role and a radicalization, a polarization, especially in Europe or in Latin America, like Hezbollah they used to do. All right. In no way Hamas cannot replace Hezbollah. Hezbollah was a very strong, you know, um, network with a lot of money from Iran, with a lot of money, from Lebanon and so on. Hezbollah now has really been weak as now because of the Israeli, attack to them in Lebanon and everywhere. They took them out, from Syria. They took them out, they decreased their influence in Lebanon. So Iran has a big problem with that. So, but Hamas in the global Islamic network or try to radicalize, Muslim in different countries, not only Southeast Asia or Latin America or Africa or in Europe, it's not so big as a threat globally, but is a big threat regionally. Regionally is a big threat, all right?
Yes.
And of course, Hamas, in order to activate, it needs to have the support of intelligence services. They cannot do they cannot do by themselves. In other words, they're not a military wing. Hezbollah used to have a military wing. They used to have a strong ammunition racket anywhere from Iran through Syria, but Hamas does not have, this strong, military support from everywhere. But if some country uses, their own intelligence, they could use Hamas only, as a fighter, to break their own technology, not technology, their own way of doing against Israel for so many years. So in the global level, of course, we have, the problem of Islamic radicalization. But today, the European Union, the Eastern Mediterranean, the United States, the Trump administration, and many other countries try to counterbalance, this kind of network. Of course, Hamas and any other groups like that, they could find fruitful background in the chaotic border control in Africa. Because if you go to the Africa, West Sahara, if you go to Central Africa, if you go to a country like Sudan, in Sudan, South Sudan, civil war in Sudan, civil war in Syria, civil war in Libya, Hamas could play, a network present on behalf of other states. So Turkey, as it is today, is supporting Hamas, but at the same time, they use, if I can say this ironically, this word, they can use their services, well, what the services is for a terrorist network, but they don't offer just a place to stay there for holiday or to have a tourist relaxation. No, they use them in order to be able to provide any kind of support, money, logistic, fake passport, and they use them in order to send to Pakistan. And like I said, there were a few days there before the attack, and then we see what's going on in Kashmir. But this terrorist network in Kashmir is always affiliated or engaged with the global economic trade. They cannot, how can I say, they cannot accept or afford to see India through IMEC to be a European power.
Yes.
That's the biggest problem for them. And China
Yes.
does not want to see India to be in the Eastern Mediterranean and to be a European power. They see it as a Southeastern because this is their own neighborhood, but they see India now comes to Europe, comes through oil, comes through business, collaborate with the countries Cyprus, Greece, EU, and Israel, who has, who has very strong Indian national interest and European interest. But for Turkey, Pakistan, and China, this is anathema
Yes.
against, against their own interest. So here
Thank you.
we have it two different approaches.
Thank you. So, like final two quick questions. So, as we all know that Turkey is trying to expand its proto-caliphate in Central Asia, trying to sort of recreate the Turkic Empire. And the recent, this arrival of Julani's regime, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in Syria, kind of enables and facilitates Turkey to expand its tentacles in Central Asia. At the same time, after the recent conflagration between India and Pakistan, we saw that Turkey sent 6 fighter aircrafts to Pakistan. So, against that background, I mean, what do you think India and Greece can do together to contain and to counter Turkey's expansionism? First question.
Okay.
And second
Yes.
question is regarding the Middle East in West Asia. Do you think that things are going to escalate between Iran and Israel?
Okay, sir, and the first question, we see that Mr. Erdogan is becoming, like a big sultan, and they do believe that Turkey could have a control, in Syria to some extent. They fully support it, Mr. Jolani. Mr. Jolani used to be a member of ISIS in a terrorist network, and now he's a governor there. But Turkey aggressiveness inside, Syria through Mr. Jolani and the rest of the northern parts of Syria, in Damascus also, is a big national security threat to Israel. Turkey presence in Syria, through Mr. Jolani, violate the national security of Israel. What happened 48 hours ago? We see 100 planes from the Israeli, Defense Air Force attack hugely, the Syrian target, especially in Damascus and surrounding area. And, the Turkish Air Force, try, to counterbalance, the Israeli. So what we see now, we see two countries, Israel against Hamas and against Jolani, and against Turkey. So we might be very close to see a continuation of a war incident between Israel and Turkey, because Israel is not going to accept to have, Turkish armed forces close to its borders. And Israel right now is doing anything to push, Turkey back. And I don't believe that sooner or later Israel is going to be very active, to support, the Syrian people, to have their own way of governing the country. So a war might start between Syria and Israel. I don't know, but it's not impossible. Israelis, are very determined, and they have the power to support their national security. And now what we see is that, Israeli is not happy to see Turkey going there, number one. Number two, what about the Kurdish state? We have the Kurdish autonomy, in Iraq. And sooner or later, we might see, the Kurdish independence on the northern part of Syria. That's something that Turkey does not want to see. They don't want to see, the Turkish independence in the northern part of Syria. They don't want to see a Kurdish independent state, and joint forces between the Kurds in Syria and the Kurds in Iraq. Of course, there is the regional autonomy state in Mosul and Kirkuk, who's, of course, under, the flank and the government of Iraq. But the Iraqi government has allowed the autonomy there. Imagine the Kurds to have their own independent, autonomy region in the northern part of Iraq. This is going to be a blow up for the Turkish cohesiveness as a state. Number one question that you said. Now, Iran. Iran is another different issue. Iran right now is under pressure financially with a lot of sanctions, to deal with, the nuclear program. Of course, the Iranian authorities, allowed, the expert from the atomic energy that are based in Vienna, the inspector to go there to check, how is progressing the nuclear program. But right now, Iran is under pressure, of course, and I don't know if Russia will offer any kind of assistance if Iran need it. But right now, Trump administration is very determined to make sure that Iran is not going to fully complete it, its nuclear program. Another thing I would like to say, Iran does anything to enrich its uranium and to get, as much, they can in order to finish up, the nuclear program. Iran is very active right now in many countries, especially, Sudan. Why Iran supports Sudan? Because they want to have access to the uranium there, and Iran goes to any support many African states because of the uranium mineral they have there. So, in order to summarize, everything is open. Everything is possible. I'm not saying that the United States or Israel will attack Iran, but I'm saying that right now, right now, many USA forces, huge forces, armed forces, and the USA Navy, plus, Israeli armed forces and Air Force are doing a lot of exercises, how to attack a country, which is really create a lot of problem to Israel national security, which is fully supported by the United States and the European Union, also, in many countries in Europe. So I do believe that Iran could be compromised and allow the expert from the atomic energy to see how is the program of the nuclear, program. And if they really push or do any kind of activities against, European Union, and the Houthis must stop, targeting navy, commercial navy in the Red Sea or in the Strait of Hormuz, because this is a blow to the global maritime security. So maritime security is number one problem. Israeli national security, of course, is there. United States see Iran create so many problems in maritime security, and the United States right now buys time to see how Iran is acting. But any scenario, I do believe, is open related to the USA forward to Iran. That's all I have to say, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nomikos. Definitely, your answers were absolutely enlightening to all of us. And no, I guess today's discussion was very nuanced, and I thoroughly enjoyed your insightful remarks on various issues of today's geopolitics. So today, I mean, with this, we come to the end of this discussion. But we look forward to inviting you more often to our Usanas dialogues and also to our offline events in India for our annual conferences. Thank you very much for joining.
One comment before I say anything I said is coming from Open Source Intelligence Network, and this is my research that I have done for the last 7 years. So everything, my analysis is based on academic references and on Open Source Intelligence Network. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope you and your audience are happy on what I said. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.